You are about to watch ECTVN Marriage Today. Stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning in to ECTVN. My name is Enes Kazmik, and this is Marriage Today. Every year in the United States alone, 2,080,000 people make a legal and a spiritual decision to spend the rest of their lives together. While this is true, according to research, about half of these couples will be separated before they reach their 10th anniversary. These divorce rates are really disturbing here in the United States and the world as a whole. But this doesn't have to be the case. The good news is I have with me in the studio a marriage counselor and a relationship expert who is here to give us some insight into how to make your marriage a thing of joy. So I would like to introduce to you Pastor Josephine Olatunde of RPPT Ministry. You are welcome to the program, Pastor.
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure for me to be with you today in the studio.
You are welcome. We are here today to delve into this phenomenon called marriage. First of all, the topic for our discussion is communication in marriage. We all know that communication is very essential to any relationship. But how does effective communication, or how does communication plays a role in marriage?
This is very interesting because the greatest tool and mechanism that God Himself has ordained and given unto us when He had instituted this theme called marriage, it's for us to be able to understand the concept of why two people come together and decide that they want to be married. And in order for you to build a successful marriage, you would need to understand one another. You need to tolerate one another, and you need to have that passion and the strength, the ability for you to ensure that your marriage works. As I've spoken to a tremendous amount of people, that marriage is not really made in heaven, but you made to make your marriage successful here on earth as if it's made in heaven, because it's something that was ordained by the Almighty God. In order for you to have effective communication in marriage, you need to be able to cultivate the sense of emotions and love between ourselves. It's very important for us to know that the tool of communication is the most effective one that God has given unto us. Because we know that it's a dialogue between two people to carry on a conversation that is meaningful for them to understand one another. And the Bible always teaches us that good communications sustains and helps marriage to live. We build on top of what Christ has given unto us. And it's very important when a man and a woman comes together. Two differences will come together. Two opinions will come together. But we need to understand that the right effective tool to use is that word called communication.
Wow. No, how does good communication begins in marriage?
Good communication starts off by making sure that you have you want to make sure that the right environment is in place. In order for you to have a good communication, you want to know that the timing is right. A lot of us will go into communications due to our emotions, our feelings, and sometimes we're quick to basically, try to set up a communication. But for us to begin one, you have to cultivate the habits of what is your intentions, or what do you want to get out? What are you looking for? Are you looking to resolve a matter? Are you looking to understand, what your spouses are feeling? A lot of times, I see that a lot of people are very self-centered and, it's just all about them, and they want to get to you and to figure out if you will be on the same, if you're on the same boat with them, and what would you feel? Because when you start communicating with your spouse, you have to put everything into perspective. You have to put other people's feelings, you have to put their emotions, you have to put their humors, you have to put in their state of mind at that time. That is this the right time for you to communicate with one another? I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a couple that have been married for years, and she actually said that her husband does not basically ask her, how does your day goes? And that is very important. In order for you to start off a communication with your partner, you want to feel that sense of belong. You want to let them understand that they're part of your world. And that's a way to start a godly communication. Simple questions, and that prompts the simple answers. Because in all things in life, we have to apply wisdom. We must understand that the other person on the receiving end has been going through so many challenges, and they need a shoulder to basically come on. So we basically need to understand that the timing of our communication, it's appropriate.
Right.
You do not want to talk to your spouse when they're in a hurry to get out of the house in the morning to leave for work. You have to find enough time, and the environment needs to be conducive as well in order for you to relate with one another. And you don't be self-centered, don't be selfish. Realize each other's feelings and each other's emotions. And lastly, before I basically move on to the next one, is do not shun yourself off. Don't switch off that light on your spouse.
Right.
Don't make them to feel as if you're not interested in whatever communications that they want to bring along, in whatever conversations they want to let you understand. You have to basically let them know, honey, baby, the love of my life, can this just wait till I get back? Or let's talk about this at lunch. Of course, a lot of communications requires for you to have face-to-face so that you can understand, okay, is this person serious when this communication begins? So you have to make sure that you nailed it down at that time.
Wow. All right, at this point, we would like to move into what I call the pinnacle of communication as a topic. And I want us to discuss some basic issues that hinder good communication. What do you think are some basic issues that play a role or that affects effective communication in marriage?
From the past sessions that I've had with issues with relationship, some of the hindrances are that hinders communications. It's quite a lot, and it's alarming because we all have to understand that we all made uniquely. The Bible says that we're fearfully and wonderfully made in the eyes of our Maker. But most importantly, when we want to have a great communication and you're trying to talk and at the same time you want to listen, it's very hard and it's very difficult because you're not supposed to just assume that the other person knows exactly what you want to talk about.
Right.
You have to basically understand that there are several factors when you start communicating. And timing, as I said earlier, it's one of those things that basically turns others off. Part of it is when you have not addressed the past issues.
Right.
When you have things that has been going on with each other, with your relationship, and you have not basically addressed it, you will not be able to move forward. So that's one hindrance, because your spouse will basically come to you and let you understand that when we had our last discussion, it was not productive enough.
Right.
The result was not that great.
Right.
And I've just been trying to see how we can take it step by step.
Okay.
So many a times as Christians, we need to come together and let Christ be in the center. Let the Almighty direct you. Let him lead you. Let him guide you, your thoughts and your ways. Because I've often hear people quote back the scriptures in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22, that wives, you should submit yourself
Right.
to your husbands. And then the husbands also should love their wives as Christ
Love
loved
the church.
the church. I'll tell you something, even my 11-year-old can quote that scriptures. But we need to have that application knowledge of that word, because it's a tool that Christ has given unto us. When that word called submissions appears,
Right.
it means to be connected to each other.
Right.
You cannot be connected to each other if you have hurtful feelings with one another. We need to go back to the drawing board. That Christ must be the center, the triangle piece in our marriage.
Right.
In order for us not to have hindrances, obstacles, and many of those hindrances are very basic.
Right.
Hindrances can be in the terms of finance. It could be in the terms of miscommunication. And I often hear a woman telling a man that, oh, you just said this, or you just said that. And the man is trying to address that situation, that I understand what you're saying, but that's not what I said.
Right.
So in order for you to avoid frictions and strifes and hatred, and your head is swelling up and somebody is thinking, being goofy, it's this now,
Right.
you have to know what God wants for you in this marriage.
A marriage situation whereby there is a misunderstanding between both the husband and the wife. How do couples go about solving issues that poses controversies at home? Because usually the men think they are right, the women think they are right. And in order to come to an understanding, is it okay for married people to argue? Or how do marriage people go about stuff like that?
Very good question. And I know that the audience that are listening all around the globe will enjoy this topic that we're discussing about marriage today. One thing I realize, and I've counseled, a lot of people, it's that marriage is not a win-win take. It's not a 50% take. It's an 100% gain. When you come into a marriage and you're understanding one another's feelings, one another's emotions, and you're trying to carry each other along, you'll be able to build a better relationship. Like we often say that a room is not built in a day. We need to understand that as well as marriage as well, it's not built in a day. It takes a several ups and downs, and marriages goes through storms, it goes through fire, it goes through a lot of challenges, but that's the beauty of a marriage. That's what makes a good marriage. Your question now is it okay to argue? Is it a sin to argue? As a matter of fact, it's really not a sin to argue. Because in marriage, you have to disagree to agree. You have to understand that you're trying to build on a foundation that was already laid. And in order for you to build that foundation, you're prompt to make mistakes. human beings are prone to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
We must not judge each other by our mistakes, what goes in or what comes out. And you cannot see somebody on that road of marriage and telling you, oh, my marriage is beds of roses. I'm here to see somebody that will tell me that their marriage is full of fun, is full of laughter, is full of happiness, is full of joy. Absolutely not. Because when you took that vow, you said, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health, to death will do us apart. Those are the vows and pledges you make when you get married to each other. But we need to go back right now that what is our arguments about as a man or as a woman. And one thing about men that I realize is I love my husband very much. And I pray that he listens to these seminars that we're having today, because we came together and we realized that we needed to have a positive impact in this marriage. We came together as two individuals that has two different opinions, two different minds, two different feelings, and we brought it together. And we keep helping one another to grow. We argue a lot as well, and I cannot counsel people and say, my marriage is perfect. We all know that no one is perfect except God, our maker. But in order for you to have an effective marriage, effective change in your relationship, you need to bring every puzzles together. All the unpuzzled aspects of your life, all the dysfunctioning aspects of your life. I see a lot of disharmony in marriages. And not because they come from a bad culture or a bad background. It's just about their life experiences growing up. And we must understand that love does not capitalize on mistakes or arguments, because we can argue. In argument, you bring out the perfection of your marriage. And I believe going forward, we will have a better understanding as well.
Thank you very much, Pastor Josephine, for coming to the program.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you watching at home, time is against us right now, so we'll have to do this another time. But if you are watching via Facebook or YouTube, feel free to leave your comments, your questions in the comment section below. And also, if you have any special problem that you want us to address on this particular platform, you can feel free to inbox ECTVN on Facebook. That is our Facebook page. It's called ECTVN. So feel free to reach out to a lot of people that are suffering in their marriage by sharing your experience with others. So until next time on ECTVN, remember, a successful marriage is not about having the right partner. A successful marriage is about having the right perception. My name is Enes Kazmik. Thank you for watching. ECTVN, the station that inspires.